Okay, everybody. Today I'm having on IFBB Pro Carlos Rodriguez, also known as Pastor Pump. He's down in Miami. He is, I believe, master trainer for Lee Haney's organization.
Yeah, and also we got the new one, which was with the NASM.
Yeah,
That one as well.
and well, I'm gonna just let you tell a little bit about yourself, like how you got into bodybuilding and how long you've been around the sport.
So, is that good or that too big?
What's that?
The size too big? That's fine there, the
A
camera.
little bit big, but it's all right.
Oh, can't do nothing about that. Let's see.
Yeah, I tried to figure that out too. We'll have, I don't know. Anyhow.
I'll just spit back. All right. That better?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you need from me? Social security number?
Yeah. So, no, what got you started in the sport, and then just your background with competing, coaching, and all that?
It's not live, right?
No, it's not live. We'll edit everything else out of this that you don't want in it.
My daddy used to beat me.
Yeah.
And so I became strong so I could fight back my father from all the abuse at home. And then all the neighborhood kids would assault me because I was Puerto Rican, or how it is there in Ohio with you people racist, so they would come in and, and attack our family. So I had to become a strong Puerto Rican to fight them off.
Oh, okay.
No, everybody, since you were a kid, you read comic books, right? So I was an artist, I drew. And so I like the comic books and all that kind of stuff. And then when we were younger, I would watch the Incredible Hulk and all that kind of stuff. And just the idea of being strong fascinated me because I was such a weak person. And then I was in judo and I was not very strong. And so I started training for judo when I was in judo, and we did our push-ups and all that kind of stuff, and I was strong there, but I just wanted to take it to another level. So I just started training at home, and it made some pretty good progress in the beginning, and then just kept going from there.
Yeah. And then you started competing really young, like 16?
Yeah, 16 was the first one we did. I moved from when I left Ohio. I was 15 when I left Ohio. I was about to play football over there in Ohio, but then when I came down here, I just kept training and didn't play football that first year. So I just kept working out and trained my whole sophomore year. And then after my sophomore year, they had the Florida State had had different age categories. They had 16 and under, they had 17 and 18-year-olds, and then they had the 19-year-olds. And so lucky for me that we had that division. So I jumped into 16 and under. My buddy did the 18-year-olds. I won that first show. We had 4 kids in that category, so there was competition. I was not the only person on stage. So at least I won with competing against other kids, and I felt good to win that first show, and it was a state show. And then from there, it just kept going from competing from there every single year.
And when was your last show?
Last show was 2020.
So you started competing in what year then?
1993 was my first
93.
Year.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And you competed every year, basically. At least
I took off 2 years when I got married. I took off to 99. I didn't compete. I didn't compete. And after I won Team Nationals 96, I didn't compete 97, 98, or 99. Mm-hmm. Then it came back in 2000. But overall, I competed for those and those that was 27 years worth of competed 24 of those years. I did a total of about 45 shows total.
Wow.
Yeah.
So after your first show at 16, that's when you became a coach and started your online presence and your social media.
The minute I started dieting, I became a professional, became a coach, and started. There's no online training, so I just started, setting up pamphlets and all that kind of stuff, advertising a pack of comic books. You know what I mean?
I talk to people now, and they talk about coaches and everything, and I said, we didn't have coaches, we just had buddies that helped us out. It was guys in the gym that would give you advice and stuff, and maybe somebody that you'd work out with or whatever, but you didn't have this profession of coaching. And now it's like everybody's a coach.
There was nobody. It was just the guys in the gym and the magazines and the books, and then you realize that everybody was just as stupid as you were, maybe a little less stupid, you know. Nowadays, the people you think are smart are even stupider than they were back then, but now they're coaches. But the buddy who helped me on the first show, who helped me with my diet and my posing and train with me was Adrian, or his street name back then was Adrian Khan,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Adrian Doorball. His real name is Noel Doorball. He's my buddy who's in prison right now.
What?
But
No, why would anybody know that name?
well, if you watch the movie Pain Again, you understand the guy from that movie. That was my training partner, the guy that prepped me for my first show.
Yeah.
So still my friend after all these years, whether he's in prison or not. But after all these years, he's still my friend. I never forget his help. We still talk on a regular basis. So yeah.
Yeah, and you've actually gone to prison and just shared. I don't
We
know.
still talk. Yeah, you still talk. He calls me now because he's down here back in Miami for resentencing. So he's down here in Miami. So he's called me at least once a month, every couple of weeks we talk. So yeah.
But you've gone there and gone like
Yeah, well, he
read the
was
Bible with
before,
him and stuff. And
yeah, before he was in Rayford, Florida, when he was in the pen. So he was up there in Rayford, Florida, which is by Gainesville, so about 6 hours away. So now he's back down here in Miami for resentencing. Yeah, we go there, we talk. He's a Christian now. I know people don't like to hear that stuff when somebody's in prison and become Christian, but yeah, he's a Christian now. So he's just waiting for whatever's going to happen next year.
now, you and I kind of grew up with Dorian Yates being, well, probably before that would have been Lee Haney, and then you had Dorian Yates that preceded him, but we had that kind of heavy duty mentality with training. And is that how you
Yeah.
started out? That kind of training?
No, I started out. I started at 12 years old, so I had the Weeder system that I bought
Oh
there with
yeah.
all the posters, because Joe Weeder invented bodybuilding. So I had the Joe Weeder system of bodybuilding, and then the magazine had Muscle Fitness, and then Flex, and I started at the end of Lee's career. So our stuff was a lot of Arnold and Lee and all that kind of stuff. So it was still the 3-on-1-off system of training. That's how I started off.
Mm-hmm.
I would do sometimes a 2-on-1-off, or an A/B workout, which was instead of 3-day split, you had a 2-day split, and do that, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays off, Thursday, Friday, weekends off to start again. So you do like half your body on Tuesday, and then the half half on Monday, and then half on Tuesday, and repeat that on Thursday, Friday. Then we moved to 3-on-1-off, what Lee did and everybody else did. And then, Dorian came along after that one. So Lee won his last Olympic in 91. So Dorian won 92, but still in 92, 93, we're still doing the Lee Haney type of stuff and the Arnold Schwarzenegger 3-on-1-off. And then when Dorian came around, I think I started training a little bit, started implementing that in 93. So I started backing off the volume a little bit. And then from 93, and I will say you just train like Dorian, because Lee, Arnold, Franco, all the guys that you read about, and then also Mike Francois was around during Dorian's time too. So Mike Francois had his own variation of his own heavy.
Yeah, and Mike's who I kind of got brought up
around
with.
in Ohio.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
in body. Yeah, I was just saying in Columbus, it was kind of power bodybuilding. A lot of people were doing.
Yeah.
And because of Mike Francois, and and I was lucky enough to train with him for a few years, and but go ahead and say how that progressed.
When I left Ohio, even though we were all doing Lee stuff, and I'm gonna say keep saying Lee, but Arnold, the 3-on, what everybody was doing, I left Ohio, we still did power bodybuilding. So even if we're doing 3-on-1-off, whatever it is, we're still doing power bodybuilding. We weren't doing fancy workouts. So I left there still training power bodybuilding when I came down here. So doing 3-on-1-off, it was always training the basic stuff. We were still benching, squatting, we were doing, some deadlifts, and so that's what we did coming down here when I came down to Florida. So I was one of the few people that was training power bodybuilding while I was down here, and I was one of the small people. I was one of the few people training that style. So when the Dorian came out, it was just a matter of just adjusting the volume more so or splits, but we were still training with that mentality from the moment I was down here anyways.
Yeah, it's a good base. Like that power building mindset and then going into a high intensity training, you know, you have and I tell people if you have somebody that's been powerlifting for a while and they really, you're doing max singles and things like that, they're really pushing it to failure. I'm not saying that's what power bodybuilding is, but like when you have that real mindset of going to failure, most people say they're going to failure, they're really not going to failure. But
Yeah, I don't get online with debates. I'm not famous enough. I'm not popular enough. You know, you know, people, I guess, because they read these studies. I mean, and there's both sides of the aisle. Both groups of people that read the studies, and some they both come out with different, interpretations of the same thing. But I'm not get online and argue because for me, it's funny how they tell you that just because somebody has results doesn't mean they know what they're talking about.
yeah, I did something with
And,
the screen here. Hang on a second.
yeah,
Wonder if I do this. Hang on a second. Your face froze up on the screen. Mm,
you're still moving for me, so
okay. Um, that is bizarre. There it is.
because
Right.
you're
Okay,
out there.
so after you got into the high intensity training, um, what did you notice as far as difference in your gains in the gym?
Remember, all my teenage years, I never used drugs, so these gains were based upon just training. So I never even weigh. I didn't even weigh myself when I was 16 because we didn't weigh in because it was just 16 and under.
Yeah,
I, I was probably $150, if even that,
yeah,
maybe on stage. I know the second year compete at 17, we had to weigh in because now I was doing the weight categories as a teenager. So I weighed in at 163 when I won some high school championship, the Gold Cup. That was the Gold Cup for Grand Floridian, which was a drug-free show, and then I did the Southern States. Did 3 shows that year, and I came second Southern States, and that one as a 17-year-old. There was no age category going down, which is weight. I was 163. The next year when I did Southern States, I weighed 180, 183, I think it was
that's
183.
that's
Those,
impressive. And people don't
those,
understand stage weight. Gaining that much in stage weight that's insane.
yeah, that was 20 pounds in 1 year
And
of
you're talking a natural athlete too.
yeah, natural. And then also Mike Matarazzo gave a seminar when I was 17 at that Southern States that well, most people go to the hotel and relax between prejudging and finals. I was at Mike Matarazzo's seminar, and he's telling us to make sure that we eat because back then you're reading the magazines, you're eating your chicken and rice, trying to be all proper with your eating. And he says, eat your pizza, eat your meat, eat some fat, make sure you put some weight on in the off season before you prep. And so that off season, not only I trained heavy, but I also ate more.
Mhm.
They put on size, and so all that made a difference.
Mike was a really good guy too.
Yeah,
He's one of the guys in bodybuilding that really appreciated his fans.
yeah. Boston guys are different,
Yeah,
that's the way, so he was different.
yeah. And would you say Dexter Jackson's show is one of the bigger shows like that? Like, was that kind of a high point for you at one point when
That
you
was
went?
2009. That was years later. But by the way, on that show in 93, was it 93? Yeah, 93 when I did the 94 when I did the Southern States as a middleweight teenager when I came to second. Dexter Jackson won the show that year as a middleweight.
That's crazy.
The overall as a middleweight. Still have his pictures. He had a little flat top back then, and he won the Southern States overall as a middleweight.
Yeah, I mean, you've competed with some of the best in the sport. I mean, Kai Green.
Yeah, I've seen everybody pass me up and do good, and I'm still back.
Well, you've got a lot to brag about, though. I mean, the when you're talking about Mr. Olympias and stuff, there's like so many things that have to come into place, and everybody talks about genetics, but it's a thing, And I asked Mike Francois one time about how'd you build what's the secret to building calves, and he said going back in time and picking the right parents.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you do the best you can with what you got, so obviously to get any kind of success in the gym, there's some level of genetics, but everybody's gifts are different, you know. And I tell everybody who's starting out the story of, you know, when I met Ronnie Coleman and Vicky Gates at a show
Hmm.
after I won Teen Nationals. And I told Vicky Gates this. I know Vicky Gates. I met her. I worked with her at shows, and I told her, and she laughs at me. But you know, I met Ronnie, and I met her in '96 after I won Teen Nationals at the Florida Pro Show. Ronnie was competing against Flex, and you know, Ronnie was just coming up. He won the Canada Cup that year. He wasn't Mr. Olympia. He was now making his push where he started using gear. So now he started making his crazy gains. He looked incredible. He comes off stage, and you know, it's a team national champion thing, and he's, oh, you know, I'm next in line. I'm going to turn pro and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
comes off stage, and I see him, and I'm like, sweet mother, dude. I look at his arms, and I look at him. I'm like, man. And I look at Vicky Gates. And I'm going, this dude, I gotta look like this guy. I don't even look like her. And this dude was jacked. I'm like, man, I'm not even at her level yet. So at that moment, I realized that, you know, and you see the pro show, and you see some of the guys, and you see how many guys aren't even close to Ronnie, and they're pros. I'm like, man, these are all pros, but a different level between a Ronnie and Flex pro than there is with just a pro on stage, you know? And so I knew at that moment that even if I ever got to that level, that I would never be, and that's selling yourself short, but if you're 5'6", you know you're not playing in the
Yeah.
NBA. Don't you know? It's not cutting yourself short. It's like, come on, you know, it's like you might play college ball being great, but you're not going to go and play against the best in the world at 5'6".
Didn't you end up being able to train with Ronnie at one point in Texas? Or you just
And I went to his gym. He was
oh,
ready. He was coming out of surgeries at that time,
oh,
you
okay.
know.
Okay.
So I trained with Lee and trained with Lee at Ronnie's at the Metroflex. At that point, Ronnie was coming off his first few back surgeries, but and I didn't train with Ronnie. I got to sit and eat with Ronnie and meet him, but I didn't train with him. I trained with Lee. But
But
still, you
still
know, got to meet
surreal.
him, you know,
Growing
and
up in the sport,
him.
that's all surreal stuff. I mean, training with somebody that was your idol growing up, you know. But
Yeah, all that stuff was cool, you know, it's experiences, you know. That's like I tell people, like a Make-A-Wish kid. I got to do all these, you know, where I got sick and left the sport. I got to do things like a sick child does, you know, meet your John Cena's in life. So
well, so we're limited on time, so probably going to do another one of these. I want to touch on two more things. First of all, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you for coaching?
bat signal. Yeah, I do some online, but I prefer the in-person training. But so they got my Instagram, that's Pastor Pump, Pastor_Pump on Instagram, which is probably the easiest one, you
Okay.
know, to get me by. You know, and I do online, but I just prefer in person. Online training is, too many people lie online when it comes to their training, so I just don't,
Yeah, I
you know,
got you.
it can make I just get frustrated with the online people. I'll do a few that are serious. I do serious people online, but in general, I don't try to get 20, 30 people online. I get a few people that are serious about what they do, and then we'll do online. But most of the other people I do in person.
When I think, at least my perspective is like if I'm training somebody and they pay me and then they quit a couple weeks later, that I feel like I'm vested in that client, and when I don't want their money. Like I'm coaching them because yeah, it's my job to do that, but it's also I enjoy doing it. So when somebody shows me that they don't want to keep doing it, it's kind of like it's frustrating. So yeah,
Well, remember what people try to do, they want you to give them the diet and the training, and then they want to pay you a little small fee and then walk away and pretend they got the program. You know, when the training is not a one-shot deal. It's like I tell people, if you want a routine, Google routine. Routines are free online.
yeah,
So don't waste time. Don't, you know, you can, I mean, I have magazines here. I can Xerox, you know, photocopy you any routine you want. That's a routine is whatever. I think there's a million routines, you know. So it's not just a routine, it's the follow through, it's the program, it's the checking in, it's making sure you have progress. I mean, there's
yeah.
how many That's how we've done that. That prep put them on stage. So I mean, there's multitude of level how far you can take it when you're consistent with it, But if you just want an outline and a generic diet, just Google that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't bother even paying for a coach. It's a waste of time.
So, all these, and we've gone through cycles of this over the last 20, 30 years of the sport, but there's this new push for like science-based bodybuilding, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon on a new thing. And one of the newest things, and you and I have talked about training so much, but like one of the newest things they're talking about is lengthened training the muscle in the lengthened position. And then before that, you had full range of motion. And we talked about like, well, what's full range of motion? Is it full range of motion for the muscle, or is it the exercise? Because if you're doing full range of motion on a bench press, you're taking the tension off the chest. You're hitting the tricep, and so with this new lengthened training, it's almost like a lot of people are so focused on that it's the only part of the rep they care about. And
that study just came out. So another study came out now. The names online that go back and forth and call each other idiots, and they fight back and forth. And one guy's is the guru, the other guy is, and they fight. And it was that the lengthen the training on the lengthened portion show the same benefit as doing the full range of motion.
Yeah.
So one person goes, see, that just proves that the lengthened training is not superior to full range of motion, and the other guy goes, no, what that just proved is that the lengthened part of the motion is the most effective, because if the lengthen gives you the lengthened partial gives the same result as the full range of motion, that means that the lengthened partial is the growth part of the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go back and forth and they argue about it. I think every bodybuilder that I know since I was a kid, we all train out of the pre-stretch.
Yeah.
And so these guys are fighting back and forth, and you have your labs, all that kind of stuff. The gym is your lab.
Yeah.
And the gym is your lab. And if you've been in there for 30 plus years, and I've been in there, I'm an old man, so I've been in the gym for training for 35 years now. The lab is the gym. So you get 5 postmenopausal 50-year-old women in a gym, you do some kind of study with them, and somehow I'm supposed to follow whatever you did with those 5 women, or you say you train 10 trained men. How trained are they? How experienced are they? Everybody in the gym is been training for 10 years, and they still look like crap because they don't whatever. How many people in the gym that's been in the gym for 20 years and don't look at anything because they just go to the gym? And so those are your trained subjects. So regardless, so you've been in the gym, by the guys that actually look impressive or have gains, and you see how they train, and they all train in a similar way. Everybody trains from a pre-stretch. Nobody does half reps, nobody does just lockouts. If you're doing just lockouts and certain exercises, we know from a strength point, if I'm doing half reps on a bench press, it's because I'm trying to increase my tricep strength for a lockout when I'm doing powerlifting.
Yeah.
But for bodybuilding, it's different. So these guys are arguing back and forth, wasting time, when guys who just stay quiet, mind their business, go to the gym and train the way we've been training for the last 30 years, which out of the pre-stretch, work the muscle, and we're making the gains. Well, everybody's out here, the small people are arguing about what's the most effective way to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, even with training, you do have people that are a little bit higher volume and everything, but you and I have talked, like, really, it's even back when you talked about Lee Haney, last set, best set,
Yeah.
It's a lot of these things it's kind of just, we're delving into the minutia of it. We're like, I don't know.
Everybody, no matter low volume or high volume, everybody does the same thing, which means is you're not doing 6 sets of failure. You're doing that last set, best set. You're doing the last set of exercise. You're going all out. Heavy duty just says, just don't waste energy on the lesser sets. Save it, give more effort for that one max set instead of wasting your energy on 3 or 4 sub-maximal sets and build up fatigue before doing your heavy set. But all low volume and high volume all do the same thing. That one set is the max set. You don't do force reps on set number 4. You do force reps on set number 5 or 6, whatever your last set is. Why are you doing force reps? Because you're going to failure and past failure.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing that one work set where you do the force reps, whatever it is. Everybody does it on the work set. So people say, I don't, the higher volume, oh, we don't train to failure. You don't train to failure, why are we doing force reps for?
Yeah.
Because you're trained to failure. So everybody was trained to failure on that work set. Everybody's doing that 1 or 2 work sets per exercise at the end of that round of sets. So everybody does the same thing, no matter what they say.
I guess
just
the bottom line is kind of like, are you doing more work each time? Are you progressive resistance? Are you doing more each time you train? And are you doing it while you're training the muscle and not just the exercise?
Every champion you see, every guy that has any kind of muscle is not curling a 20-pound dumbbell.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they're curling the big weights, it's because they work the weights to the big weights because they're not lifting heavy because they're strong. They're strong because they lift heavy.
Yeah.
Also, because they always try to push for a little more. So it's everybody who has any ounce of muscle, done any kind of success to a higher level, has always tried to do a progressive overload. It's just the basic of training, whatever name you want to give it. Well, like I said, while everybody's and I'm not trying to be mean, while all these small people are arguing about the science of this and whatever it is, the guys who are big are all doing the same thing we've always done. Train to failure, real failure, not what you call failure because it hurts, not because I felt a little twitch, so I call that failure. They're doing always the little extra force reps at the end. Not saying do force reps in every exercise, but just they're always pushing for a little more. They're all trying to get stronger in the gym. They always want to be the strongest guy because they know strength is muscle. And, and they're all training with the same type of range of motions, so, Ronnie, Jay, all those guys, you don't see them doing, full lockout. They're always keeping the muscle under tension, working the muscle under tension. Every guy does that. Every big guy always keeps the muscle under tension, so, they argue with all these people that have a bunch of followers, but never have done nothing. It's just they read papers about, it's just follow what the guys who are successful are doing. It's pretty simple.
Well, just to wrap it up though, like, my training, the way I train is very much inspired by our workouts when we've trained together. I still, when I do a dumbbell row, I'm wishing you're up here so we could like try to see who could do the heavier dumbbell row, because I remember up in Columbus, you beat me several times at the North Gym when we trained with Mike. But yeah, it's a little.
My videos, my 200 rows. I still got the videos. I got those on video.
Well, and
100-pound rows.
If I remember right, you got up to about 270 pounds too. I don't think I was close to that weight. So
no, dumbbell didn't get 270. Dumbbells was 200-pound.
No, you were 270. You were 270.
Oh, my weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, my weight was highest I got was 275, 280. As far as how heavy I got.
At 5'11" and a half.
5'11". Yeah. But I guess that almost killed me, so I guess it wasn't worth it. So
well, we'll talk about that next time, but thanks for doing the video and everything, and we'll do some more because I think people would be interested in the way you train and the way you coach your clients and everything. But I highly recommend you as a coach if people are very, very serious, not if you're just going to want to program. So anyhow.
Serious people are not bodybuilders. I got serious people who are just house moms and regular people, but they're serious about what they want to do. So serious not only me because you want to get on stage.
Exactly. Well, hey, thanks, Carlos. We'll talk to you, bud.
All right.
Bye.
All right now.